going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Hustle and Grow. My name is Ed, and today I got a special guest. He get the trifecta specials. Mike, the used book guy. What's up, Mike? How you doing today, man?
What's up, Ed? I appreciate you having me on. For those that don't know, I sell media full time on Amazon. So 99.9% of my business is done on Amazon through Amazon's FBA service, which means I ship items to Amazon. Amazon packs and ships those items and send them to customers. And I'm about 0.01% on eBay. I have it there as an afterthought. So I'm excited to kind of dive into some reselling topics and, see what's going on out there.
Yeah, perfect. And again, that's Mike, the used book guy. So if you guys haven't heard of his channel after this video, make sure you go check him out, and I'll make sure there's a link in the description. So Mike, just to get started, let's give the audience just a little background of where you came from, how you what you did before reselling, what was your pre-reselling life like, and then how you got started, and then how you made that transition from that pre-reselling life into the reselling afterlife.
Like yourself, I had a job I hated that was absolutely crazy. I worked at CVS was a store manager for CVS for 10 years. And I got to the point where I'm salary. So if you work 45 hours a week, you get paid the same if you work 70 hours a week. Well, in most
Yeah,
cases,
facts.
companies will take advantage of salaries because, hey, this person can work all the time and we're not paying them no extra money. So it got to a point where I'm like, there's got to be a better way to live than to work for 70 hours every week for the rest of my life. And I came onto some YouTube channels. I'm probably 6 to 8 years ago, just early on, like when Steve Rakin was selling bikes out of his garage before he turned into the huge thing he is now. And I said, all right, well, let me start with eBay because I think that's where a lot of resellers start. It's eBay because there's really no barrier to entry. You can open an account today and sell anything. So I was the everything seller that most people start out. I go to thrift stores. I'm looking for anything I can make $5 on, right? And this is
Right.
after work. So I want to make this clear. When I was trying to get out of my job, you got to figure out a way to, have enough money on the side so you can quit your job. And I was
Right.
probably there for a good year or so before I actually even quit CVS. So I built my business up on the side. I'm working 50, 60 hours a week at CVS. Those hours I'm not working, I'm dragging my wife sitting behind me over here to thrift stores. Wow, what a wonderful life to lead. But there's sacrifices that have to be made if you're trying to get out of a situation like that. And I know you talk about it all the time, like, yeah, you probably could have stayed in your job longer. And that's what I try to tell everybody, right? Like, if you want to go full-time reselling and you have a job you hate, well, I was already at CVS for 10 years. So what's another six
Right.
months? What's another year
Right.
going to do, right? I already been suffering this long. So I did build it up on the side, selling everything on eBay to the point where I went into CVS one day, tried to reach out to my district manager, middle of my shift, couldn't hear nothing back. This was like an ongoing thing for like 2 or 3 weeks. So left my keys in the office, walked out the door, never looked back. And from that, I found a video with a Side Hustle Experiment. He was selling books at the time. He's also a YouTuber. He was doing bulk books, and he lives 20 minutes away from me, like right across the river here. So
Right.
he did a video on Romer the Romer's channel saying, I sell books full time. And I'm like, wait a minute, this dude lives 20 minutes away, and he's doing Amazon. Like, let me give it a shot. So I tried it, and I never looked back from there. And the big appealing part to me with Amazon versus eBay is you don't got to deal with customers. I've never answered a customer concern in over 6 years selling on Amazon. You don't got to pack and ship every order. You put your stuff in a box. It goes to Amazon.
Real quick. Do you use you don't do no FBM or what? Or maybe a
No,
little. Okay.
none at all. There was years ago where Amazon limited how many items you could have in inventory, and it was unit based. So they would say every Q4 you can only have 1,000 units. Well, that's not enough to make a living selling media. So then I was doing a little bit of FBM, but now that they changed it and it goes by cubic feet, you can basically have an unlimited amount of space. But yeah, there was a time I did FBM, and I think there's a lot of people that do have success, 0-day handling on Amazon because people will buy the stuff if they can basically get it the next day. That's the main reason people shop on Amazon. But for me, it was no customers, no photos, no packing and shipping myself. I'm in automatically, right? I didn't even
Right.
care what the
Right.
stuff. I didn't know at the time that the stuff would actually, if you sell a book on Amazon, you're probably going to get double the price that you would if you sold it on eBay. and you're doing less of work. But I didn't know that at the time. I just wanted to have a smaller workload, and from there it just kind of snowballed in what it is today. I do over $10,000 a month, and I only work 20 hours a week. So it's not like I'm out here, every day in thrift stores. I got it down to a science where 20 hours a week, I can continually do, $2,500 in sales every single week. And for those that don't know, for full transparency, Amazon takes 50% basically if you sell media. So if I do 10 grand a month, Amazon takes 5, I get 5. That's the reality of it. So when I say I'm doing $2,500 in sales a week, I get $1,250 basically in profit into my actual bank account.
Hey, and that's big, man. So that just in the media? Because I know it's not in the categories I sell in. So why do
No,
they take so much for media? Do you know, or is
it's
it just
I mean, it's the weight of an item, right? So the fees are based off the size and weight of an item. So if you sell a book for $20, your standard hardback book, you're probably looking at getting like $5 to maybe $7 on the high end versus like a CD or DVD. You sell a CD or DVD at $20, you're going to make like 12 bucks. So it really depends on the items you're selling and the weight and size. So like if I was going to just sell like heavy items, you'd probably be better off, like with an FBM operation where the fees are less because Amazon is charging you up for their service to deliver and pick.
yeah, of course. Now you said you do this for about 20 hours a week. So if you were to if you wanted to make the same amount of money just through eBay, how many hours a week do you think that would take you? Have you ever thought about that?
Oh man, it'd probably be 60, if not 80. I
Damn, you
think
think
about it.
that much?
I mean, the photos, dude, alone are going to kill you, and then actually finding those types of profitable items like to sell on eBay. Because think about it, if I'm getting almost double per item, I would need double the items listed on eBay to equate to the one unit on Amazon. I think it would be a lot of work. I do think there's people out there that can do it. I don't listen. I say it all the time. eBay sellers work way harder than Amazon sellers. It's not
Yeah,
even
for sure.
close. Like the
For
realms
sure.
are not even close. And I do think there's plenty of money to be made on eBay. You just have to have desirable items that have sell through on eBay. And unfortunately, a lot of eBay sellers get into just listing the low dollar, low value, nobody's going to buy it ever type stuff. So I think it's probably 3x, if not 4x. I mean, and depending on the person, if you're not familiar with eBay, it could be 5x, honestly, when it comes to time spent. Because Amazon, all you're doing, you scan the barcode, it prints out a little Amazon label, you put it over the barcode, you put it in a box. So like I can pack a box of 100 DVDs in like 30 minutes, like
Yeah.
versus doing 100 sets of photos for a DVD to sell on eBay for like $5. Like you got to be crazy.
Yeah. So when you left your job, was it just more out of anger? Or I know you said you had been saving. Was it more out of anger, or did you have your solid plan and you was like, all right, well, I'm leaving. I'll let them know, but they ain't getting back to me, so screw it. Or was it just like, I'll just figure this out because I'm tired of this?
I was prepared. I try to tell people that want to jump into this, be as prepared as you possibly can because you don't know what's going to happen. And most of us rely on thrift stores, right? You have, you're buying your stuff from suppliers. Well, most of the resellers, we got to go to thrift stores like myself. You go in a thrift store, you don't know what they got. They could have nothing. I could go in there, I could take my IKEA bag, and I could leave with nothing but my
Right,
IKEA.
right,
So
right.
I built it up smartly to where my income with reselling was basically level with CVS, which really
Hmm.
wasn't that much. I was making like 22 or $23 an hour at CVS as a store manager, which really, and if I broke it down to my hourly rate since I was salary and they were working me more than my 45,
That's the
like
price of your soul, man.
but I played it smart, and like my wife, she wanted me to quit way before I did, but I'm the type of person, I'm like, I don't know, like I can just tough this out and deal with it and continue to make the money on the side. I really didn't have a plan. I just knew eBay was making me money. I was finding things I could sell for profit. So once I said, hey, I ain't got nothing to lose now. I'm basically breaking even, and I don't have to come here and deal with this nonsense. If somebody calls out, I got to be there. It's funny, dude. So we were next to a beer distributor. The CVS was in
Uh-huh.
a shopping center. So what would happen on the weekends? The beer distributor would stay open later than CVS. So some idiot would walk up to the doors at CVS and pull on the doors. So what happened? It sets off the alarm. So now every
Right.
Saturday and Sunday evening, after I'm done working, I gotta drive back to meet the police. And it was every weekend, and
Oh
it
my
takes its
goodness.
toll, man. And
Right.
I think that's the benefit of being a reseller now. It's like it'll never be as hard as it was at CVS. And some people think reselling is hard. I think it's, I mean, I think it's a life hack, honestly, once you get it figured out.
And I think that is what a lot of people don't realize. So when I left my job, I didn't drop the keys down, even though I started to. But because it's like restaurants has always been hard. But man, for whatever reason, after COVID, when they reopened everything, dude, it was so rough. One, everybody had money, so getting an employee was like not even a thing. So good luck with that. Two, people was flush. They felt like they was the ish. They was treating everybody like crap. It was rough, man. I mean, when I say rough, I had to use all my powers of persuasion to keep the few employees that I had. And then I just kept saving. Like you, I saved about a year's worth of salary, man, and I did a couple other things, and I planned it, and I stuck out to my plan. I told that year I had told my district manager I would stay till December, and I think I ended up leaving in like September. She was like, "I thought you said you was there." I was like, "Yeah, no, I'm not doing this. I'm tired of this." Right, but that transition was easier because of that. But I will say this: there was definitely a lot of unforeseen challenges. Um, I had bigger expenses come up, but the thing that saved me was having that extra money. And I think for me, I had been watching a lot of content and I wasn't really a part of a group. So that's what I would ask you, like, was you even a part of any selling groups? And I feel like when you left, media was still doing really well. Cause I think some people think like right now, media is kind of like a dying category. So, I mean, if I was to say to you, man, why are you still selling media? That's really not, what would your answer be to that?
I would say I got it all figured out. I got the relationships, I got the supply. So, like, sure, I could go, kind of do the wholesale down the route you wanted to go, but I get it all the time because a lot of book sellers, media sellers, they graduate, right? They move on to bigger and better things, RA, retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, wholesale. But when you got a category figured out, you have the relationships, you have the sources. It's almost be like shooting yourself in the foot to go try something completely different. I'm a
Yeah,
huge proponent of if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it's working for you, I mean, sure, right? How much can you scale media versus the stuff you sell, right? Your sales numbers are gonna be way past mine. If you need to make 30 grand a month, like you're not gonna be able to do it selling media by yourself. It's just not
right,
feasible.
right.
So it's really what worked for you. And me bringing home 5 grand a month, that's basically over double what I was getting from CBS. So all of a sudden, I upgrade my lifestyle immediately, and I'm like, I can make more money and do less work. But it's tough to say, man. It's media is harder than it used to be, right? Amazon fees go up every year. The fees go up on every platform every year, and Amazon fees are some of the highest. So as we continue here over the next 5 to 10 years, who knows if you still be able to find a profitable book to resell? But cross that bridge when we get there,
I
right?
was going to say that. I
Sky's
was
not
just going to
falling
say
yet.
that. Yeah. Well, so throughout this whole journey since you left, what would you say was the biggest challenge that you experienced or even came up against since you left that job up until now?
It's
And then
cash
how did you
flow.
kind of deal with that?
It's cash flow, man. That's the only reason we talked about it before we started this. It's the one job we have as resellers is to make money. If you have any other reason why you're reselling, I would love to hear it. But at the end of the day, we want to make money. And with Amazon selling media, if I'm paying $1 a piece, I got 3,400 items sitting at Amazon today. That's $3,400 sitting there doing nothing. It's just literally tied up there. It's not making me any money. These are items just sitting on the shelf. So when you start out, you want to run. You want to go as fast as you can. And with Amazon, the payouts aren't like eBay, right? The big benefit to eBay is you sell something today, we ship it today, that money hits
Yeah,
your account tomorrow, right?
yeah.
Amazon, you're talking 4 weeks because they want to let the return period clear. So you start out, you go spend $1,000 on 1,000 items, and that money ain't coming back for 2 to 3 months, basically. And that
Hey,
and that's
bro, I let my inventory sell down not too long ago from Amazon. Then I went back and replenished it. It took almost 2 months to get that first check back. It was a
yeah.
long time, man.
Amazon is cash flow intensive, especially in a category like media where you have to send in thousands of units. So just have that in mind. And I do think people hate the fact that Amazon takes so long to pay out, but I do think it is smart on them because it kind of forces you to grow slower. And the more time you're doing something, the better at it you're going to be. So they force your hand to grow slower. But if you're the person that's just like, I want to jump in and spend $10,000 today, like you're not going to see that for 2 or 3 months, like you said.
Yeah, yeah. And to that point, I think that's one of the things I learned better too. Now I kind of had, and you probably had a good grasp of this too, just because you ran a store as far as like forecasting and projections and things like that. So you would have had to do all of that. But it's different kind of like in these situations with reselling, right? But Amazon does force you to have to do more forecasting and to understand lead times. Maybe not for you so much as me because I buy the wholesale, so I got to wait for pallets. So I got to have an idea of, okay, it's going to take this long for the item. We were just talking before this. Some of the pallets I ordered could take a month and a half just to get to me, right? So I got to be able to forecast that and plan and budget the cash flow for that. Like, all right, I might have X amount of dollars tied up for the next 2 months before I can even get it listed. So I think this is probably where, and you can tell me if you agree or whatever, this is where a lot of people kind of mess up too. They don't understand that. They don't understand forecasting and planning for slow season and planning for maybe running short on inventory or even making a bigger purchase and not taking up more of your capital. But then what is your budget going to be after that until you start to get the cash flow back? I mean, what do you think? What should have been your experience with that?
There's two things wrong with the whole thing here is resellers, we have the craziest ROI. There's no other job in the world you can go buy something for $1 and sell it for $100. Like we have such a unique opportunity in front of us as resellers, and the idea of like the summer slowdown, right? Like I never even bring up the summer slowdown. It's just a myth. If you decide to be an iPhone seller, I guarantee you will sell the same amount of iPhones during the summer than you will during the fall months or whatever it is. Summer slowdown
Right.
shouldn't be an excuse for you to kind of like, well, I should expect slow sales. You should always be trying to find more desirable items and a higher ASP. And we should always have the cash flow, kind of like you said, to hold us over. If we know, July's our worst month, we've been doing this for 3 years, you can look at your numbers, you're doing the same things in your business, we should have the money. As resellers, we should always have a pile of money set aside for something, because if we don't, where's it all going? If we have the crazy ROI on these items, where is the money going that we're actually making? Are we even selling the items? I mean, are you pricing your items correctly? I'm like you. I want the money quick. I'll take a little bit of money fast instead of trying to hold on to something forever and try to get the most money out of it.
Yeah. I was listening to this. I want to say it was a documentary about Amazon, and they had this big seller. He was essentially on there talking about how Amazon's a bully, and they're going to and so what Amazon was doing to them is that they basically invited one of their executives out to dinner and essentially told him like, look, we want a bigger cut or we're going to ghost your listing. This is essentially what they said, right? But the way he was presenting it, of course, they ended up paying whatever, but he didn't present it in a way where he was like, man, Amazon is like he's just like, it's the cost of doing business. It sucks, but we pay it, and we're just working on other things. So, when I look at some of the comments you hear people say about eBay, mostly eBay, because honestly, in the reselling world on YouTube, eBay's the largest category of content, I think, anyway.
For sure.
But there's just, and it's crazy to me that that content does so well, but it's usually not problem solving. It's not like one of those, yeah, this is what eBay's doing, but look, here's where the opportunities are. You know what I mean? You don't really hear it. I hear that come from you, and you're facetious about a lot of your complaints, like, oh man, Amazon. But it's like, where's the problem solving that? Because I feel like if we all came together more to do that, as opposed to consuming that negative content, there would be a lot more success for a lot more sellers. But when you start feeding that into your spirit, you get this, you get discouraged, and then
Yeah.
you stop looking for solutions because everything's like doom and gloom.
I mean, you hit it on the head 100%. If me and you wanted to have 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year each, we could just do a weekly one of these and talk about how eBay sucks and that they hate us and they're hiding our listings and they hate my cats because I can't sell nothing to feed my cats. We would go to the moon, because if somebody has something negative going on, we can give them the correct answer, right? Like, hey, here's what's going on in my business. How can I fix it? You say, well, here's the 3 steps to fix it. Well, if that's not the answer they want to hear, they'll just keep going down the line until they get the answer. There's always somebody else out there that's going to give you, well, yeah, eBay sucks for me too. I think you hit it right on the head. You have to surround yourself with like-minded people. And I know it's tough to find groups that actually make sense or like actually provide value, but there's plenty of them out there. And you can't get sucked down this rabbit hole of, well, eBay's turned off today, because everybody I hear, what about all the successful people out there on eBay? What about people like yourself that sell items every single day? Are you just, do you have some secret connection to eBay we don't know about? Like, I don't
Hell
know.
no. Heck no. I wish I did, man. If you was the rank, okay, or not rank, if you was the, I know you do media, but if there was any other category that you could do, what would it be besides media?
Uh, I don't. I got two different answers for the platform. If it was eBay, I'd probably do toys. If it was Amazon, I'd probably do grocery.
I can understand grocery on Amazon, but toys on eBay, real?
Yeah, I like toys. I mean, toys are cool, dude. I got some Funko Pops sitting behind me, and
Hmm.
they're everywhere. You can buy bags of toys for, most thrift stores sell bags of toys for like $1, $2. Yard sales you probably could clean up as well. You just have to be a lot of listing and a lot of learning, but the inventory is there. I wouldn't do clothing just because of measurements and returns, but I would 100% go the toy route. Board games, used toys, new toys for eBay. I mean, maybe that's another thing. Like I used to be big into like old electronics like VCRs, but the post office, they just destroy things shipping, and then you got to test them. I don't want to
Yeah.
test anything. I just want to have, clean the item, take a few photos, and it actually sells.
Yeah, I'm surprised you said toys. I wasn't even thinking that. If I had like three things in my head, you would have said. I knew you wasn't gonna say clothes.
No, dude, no
Oh man.
clothing, no shoes. There's good profit in those categories. I think you have to be passionate about clothing and shoes to be a successful seller.
Bro,
Like
you really do, man. You really do, man. I
it's
swear
a
to
grind.
God. I think I'd rather go back to restaurants than sell clothes, man. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I
Yeah,
hate
dude.
selling clothes that much.
I remember looking through the racks for like the ties, right? There's a few brands of ties. I look in every thrift store, every Salvation Army, check out the ties. Like there's so much that goes with that. But that's the thing with reselling. Find something you're passionate about. And listen, I'm not a big book reader. I got like 10 books in my personal collection. No bookcases, no nothing. But I'm passionate about making money. I mean, as gritty as that sounds, and I know a lot of people like come to my channel expecting me to be like this curator of books and he knows everything about books. And I'm like, no, I'm a business person. I can teach you how to have a book business, but my knowledge actually on the topic is like it's next to nothing. So you don't have to know a lot when it comes to selling on Amazon because we have software, right? eBay, you're sitting in there, you're dinging the items in the thrift store, you're looking up every item. Amazon, you just scan it and the software tells you how much you're going to make. It's kind of foolproof, honestly.
Yeah. Now, why don't you sprinkle in other items, even on Amazon? Because some people have their main categories on Amazon, but then they'll do a little bit of this and a little bit of, like you said, groceries. If you was on Amazon, why don't you sprinkle in? Why do you just focus solely on media? Is there a reason for that, or is it just you don't want to be bothered with nothing else? Let us know a little bit about that.
My time, man, my time's worth more than trying to. I mean, I have sold items, right? So, you know, my wife wants to go to the Dollar Tree. I'll be scanning name brand stuff in the Dollar Tree, and I've sold, items from the Dollar Tree. Same with Rite Aids. Rite Aids had a huge like markdown on their media recently, like probably a few months ago, and they got a clearance aisle. I sold some razor blades that I bought from Rite Aid. I pick and choose my spots. I can't lose focus on the goal, and that's to make as much money as I can in as little bit of time as I can. Now, you could say, sure, if I sat down and I, decided I wanted to do grocery and I did some knowledge, did some research, I probably could spend the other 20 hours of my week, selling grocery 100%. But for me, the way I got it ironed out, I got other things going on, right? Besides Amazon, I do the Amazon influencer program. I got a YouTube membership group that's got over 200 people. We got weekly calls, Discord, things like that. So I manage that as well. I help my wife. She has a business as well. So I have other commitments, and it really doesn't come out on YouTube. So people always hear like 20 hours a week, dude, like you're a bum. I'm like, I mean, whatever. Like my 20 hours a week is going to make me $1,200 every single week. Like, and
And
that's
and it's focused in that one area for the most part. So
Yeah, and I spread myself thin, and then my media starts sucking. My media business starts losing some ground, possibly, and then that's kind of you get yourself into hot waters whenever you're trying to change something or change your business. There's always going to be mistakes. There's always going to be missteps. So if you just find something that you're good at or a category you're passionate at and stick with it. But that's the problem with reselling, dude. Every season there's another flashy like business model, wholesale, retail arbitrage, online, and it's never ending. Private label, there's always something else around the
Yeah,
corner, and
yeah.
people just can't stick with it.
And you said your wife sells on Etsy, right? She got an Etsy shop.
She does Etsy and Shopify, so she's got her own website
Oh
as
yeah,
well.
and Shopify. Yeah, yeah. How long she been doing that?
Well, she started before me, so she kind of, I mean, kind of put the bug in my ear, like, hey, she's sitting at home making money. I got to get up 6 o'clock, get dressed. It's 10 degrees outside. I got to go to work. She's sitting at home making money. So that's kind of what got me into reselling was her at home business. And yeah, she's got well over, I think she's around like 13,000 sales on Etsy. So she's a pretty
Damn.
big time cat and dog toy seller over there, and
Okay.
her website's the same way. It's just you get less fees having your own website, a lot less fees having your own website. You just have to drive your own traffic. So that was something that took her years to kind of build up to where it is today. But that was the inspiration for me quitting, because I'm like, I want to sit at home too and make money.
Yeah, yeah. No, I always hear you talk about her in the videos and stuff, and I know the Shopify thing. I tried it before. I haven't really put enough time in to give opinion. I don't think I tried hard enough, so I wouldn't even really say anything about that. But I feel like to get that traffic going, that takes some work, right?
Oh yeah, every order gets a business card with a QR code that goes directly to her website. The prices are cheaper on her website, and she still
Of
makes
course.
more money because the fees are a lot less compared to Etsy. Lots of back end SEO research, blogs that drive traffic. There's so much that goes. She's probably spent thousands of hours building her website, and for the first year or two, she maybe get one sale a month on her website, but now it's a lot more consistent. You get sales, basically almost every single day on the website. But are you willing to commit to sitting there for a year, 2 years to let this kind of
Yeah,
work itself
right.
out?
And paying the fees for to have the site hosted and all that, their recurring fees they got. Yeah, for sure. Going back to what we were just talking about though, as far as like focusing on our categories, you got the the timeless argument of uh everything sellers and niching down and so on and so forth, right? Now you can niche down, but that don't mean you have to necessarily sell like one type of item, but it can be like a few items in a certain category or related items. Um, which is why I can understand why you said what you said as far as the 20 hours. Because I feel like when you and I know this through my own experience, bro, because I done been all over the board and I get distracted pretty easy, right? I don't like to say I got ADHD, but it ain't hard to distract me either. So, but I have found that when I focus on health and beauty and how to source that, how to sell that. I know the policies for the most part. They got something that get you there, but for the most part, I know the policies, what you can sell, what you won't sell. Most of the companies that'll ding you for selling this, and once I start venturing out past that, there's other stuff involved, things that can get me in trouble. Yeah, it might make me money, but I've learned that sometimes I just take that and I'll sell it to somebody else because I don't want to deal with it. I don't know enough about it to deal with it. And so it's like the time and profit opportunity just ain't worth it for me because I got to learn something else, and it's riskier because I don't know enough to know if I even should be selling this. You know what I mean? So I think focusing. I don't. I feel like when you start, maybe you can do everything till you kind of get a feel for what you want to do. But I think if you want to take it to not everybody has to sell $1 million every year, but if you want to take it to the full potential of what you can do as a seller, you have to focus in one area. I think for the most part, like 90% of your business at least got to be focused in one general category. What you think about that?
I agree. So if we think about it this way, you're an everything seller. How much time do you spend in a single thrift store versus somebody like myself goes in, we scan the books, CDs, DVDs, we're out to the next thrift store. I'm probably hitting 10 times the amount of thrift stores you are in a day. And it's appealing. I'm with you, Ed, right? Like I'm in a thrift store and I'm scanning the books and they roll a bin out and I'm like, ooh, here comes a new bin to the sales clerk. But you got to tell yourself like, hey, that's for someone else. That's not for my business. And do we leave money on the table? Yes, but at what expense? Like you're talking about, if I'm going to walk around the whole thrift store for 3 hours versus being out in 30 minutes, I can get to X amount more thrift stores than that person. So there's a lot to be said. It's hard to say, if is everything selling wrong? No, not at all. But you just have to have the processes. And that gets me to the next thing of, as resellers, we got to have a schedule. We can't be playing this game of, well, I might go to the thrift store today. Well, maybe today, or maybe I'll list something today on eBay. I used to be the person that was just, well, whatever happens today, Ed, happens. I might go to a thrift store, I might not. I can't tell you exactly what's going
Yeah.
on. Now I
Yeah.
got everything ironed out. I thrift 2 days a week. I pack my Amazon boxes 1 day a week. That's it. I'm done. Nothing else. It's that easy. But if you don't have the schedule, I'm going to 2 thrift stores 5 days a week instead of going to 10 thrift stores 1 day a week. It doesn't make sense. You lose time traveling, and you got to refine your processes and always be trying to get your life back.
Yeah, we're gonna have a new saying, NFMB, man, not for my business, man.
It's the truth.
Not
It's
for
the
my
truth. But
business.
it's hard, man. You see the toad of new stuff roll out of the back room, and you're like, I used to sell, I used to sell Nikes, and you see a pair of Nikes in there, and you're like, do I want to look up that number on that inside the tongue of that Nike? And you're like, I can't do it. You just got to leave it behind.
Yeah, man. I gotta admit, dude. I've gone outside my area of expertise, and it hasn't always cost me money, but it just I can't think of it ever a time it really being worth it for real, for real.
Yeah.
I made a video a few months back about these auto part pallets I bought. Now I've been through them. I'm gonna get my money back and all that, but bro, they still sitting there. And honestly, I don't even want to deal with it. I don't. I was just thinking to myself yesterday, why the hell did I even buy this? Like I'm not. I know I can make. I just don't even want to. Why? What was I thinking? And it was just another confirmation of, bro, stick to what you know. Do what you like. Just because you see a deal doesn't mean you got to take the deal. You know what I mean?
How much of that stuff is sitting in eBay sellers' death piles right now? Things they went to the thrift store, they see this lamp, they look up the lamp. Goodwill wants $5. The lamp sells for $100. You get it home, and you're like, I gotta picture this thing, I gotta box this thing up, and all of a sudden it doesn't get listed, and it sits there, and it's not making you money, it's costing you money because you spent $5 and just stored it at your house because you don't want nothing to do with it.
Then you start using it, then it's costing you money on your electric bill, right?
It's crazy when you really, I think a lot of it is, like you said, I guess it's different for us, right? You being a restaurant manager, me being a store manager, we get a P&L, we see a full breakdown of a business. We have a little bit more business, I guess, knowledge behind us before we started reselling. And a lot of resellers, they have no idea what a P&L is. They don't understand, what the four wall expenses are when it comes to different things. And that's where a lot of people get trapped. It's just, well, I'm going to go spend money today and hopefully I make some money. I might make some money. I don't know if I'm making money. And that kind of separates you as a reseller compared to a small business owner, which I think is a better term for resellers, because reseller just sounds
Right,
like you're just a scalper. You're a small business owner. You have a
right.
business, you pay taxes on it, and treat it like a business.
And I think that is a big difference when you say scalper, even though it sounds such a negative connotation, but as opposed to having it's a mindset thing, right? So if you would had a person in front of you, uh, wanted to get into reselling, what would you like tell them to focus on first? What would be like maybe let's say three things. What's three things you would tell them to focus on just getting started?
Pick a platform you want to sell on. You want to be an eBay seller, A-OK. You want to be an Amazon seller, Walmart, whatever it is. Understand how that platform works from the ground up. What are the expectations? What's it going to take for you to send in the product if you're going to send it for them to sell? What's it going to take for you to list it? What do they expect from you as a seller? A lot of us just hop on eBay, list stuff up. We don't do the item specifics or the proper, title structure, and the item never sells. So we think to ourselves, well, this doesn't work, Ed, because my stuff isn't selling. I listed it,
Right,
it's not selling.
right,
Another thing is, you're not going to get rich quick. You're not going to find gold bars in thrift stores anymore. Them days are long gone. There was a time and place where I could go into any thrift store and leave with an IKEA bag full. Well, them days are gone. Thrift stores they all have their own online marketplaces. They all sell on eBay. They all sell on Amazon. You can look and see how many different Goodwills are on some of these listings. It's like over 20 different Goodwills selling the same CD, selling the same DVD. It's gotten a
right.
lot harder. So you have to accept the fact that everybody, the corporations understand, and they are your competitor. When I spend $100 at Goodwill, that's $100 I'm basically giving to my competitor. So understand that, hey, yes, there's money to be made, but it's not as easy as it was during the pandemic when everybody's reselling and everything's flying off the shelves. And you just accept the fact that it's going to be a slow growth, but if you stick with it for over 6 months and you surround yourself in a community, or you listen to YouTube channels like yourself that tell it like it is and don't fluff things up, and you have a realistic expectation and picture of what the business can be, the sky's the limit with this. But it's going to take time. No matter how you look at it, yes, you might walk into a store and find a $300 item, here or there, but that's not the reality of it. It's going to be your $20, $30 items that are going to support your business.
Right.
And the last one, I don't know, it's tough. It's going to take time. You're not going to get rich quick. I guess the last one is it takes a lot of work. Even though I sit here and say I work 20 hours a week, it is a lot of work that I do, right? I'm on the 3rd floor. Every single book, CD, DVD has to come up 4 flights of steps, boxed up, go back down 4 flights of steps. There's a lot of work that goes into us. I scan tens of thousands of items every single month. So it's labor intensive. But if you're not scared of hard work, or if you had a crappy job like me or Ed, so I'll scan 1 million items a month instead of going back to CVS when somebody decides, somebody decides to take a crap on the floor, you're stuck cleaning it up as a manager. Well, I'll scan 1 million items instead of doing that any day of the week. It's hard work. It takes time to grow your business and understand what's expected from you as a reseller, and don't get caught up with all the flashiness you see on YouTube out there, because it paints, I say it all the time, YouTube reselling paints a picture that isn't nowhere close to the truth.
Yeah. If I had to give 3, honestly, those would probably be a 3 if I would have went first. So I'm gonna try to do 3 different things. I would say, because you already said basically pick the platform, you're not gonna get rich quick, and then it takes hard work, that's definitely foundational. Then I would say, 1, whether or not you like numbers, you're good with numbers, at least do like a simplified business course, man. Something that you just learn some simple business terms, financial terms, like you were saying, understanding what a P&L is, a balance sheet, just the simple things. Because maybe you won't use an accountant, maybe eventually one day you will. Either way, you still need to know that. So I would say definitely at least do some simplified business courses. 2 would definitely be and we said this, but not as one of these, I guess, but find a group of like-minded people that are selling already what you are interested in selling, and consume that info. Make sure it's positive people. It could be a Facebook group, it could be a YouTube channel, but don't jump around to all the different just find somebody who's talking about, or a group that's talking about what you're interested in, and consume as much information as possible. And don't get distracted with that. And then 3 would really be, man, let's see. I guess budgeting would fall in the financial thing, but I would say budgeting in the sense of overall learning how not just your business, but your life. I think one of the biggest things for me has been, because I was having a talk with my wife about this, like, I'm not just budgeting the business, whereas when we was in our restaurants or in the store, it was just the business, and after that, it's whatever. But like all of that is like congruent with my life. So because I got to pay for bills, I got bills, I got to pay for stuff, right? So I do take money out the business, and so it's like I got to think ahead of time. So you got to be good with money. If you're not good with money, then it's a discipline you got to work on. So I think being disciplined with money. And there's some nice, easy courses out there to teach you about budgeting, because you'll be surprised what people don't know when it comes to budgeting their funds, man. I had a few talks with some people, and there's just some things like, now I see why you're having so much trouble. But that would be kind of my 3. Yeah, for sure.
Cash flow the business. Don't start with credit. You're a reseller. It's like we were talking about earlier. You have the craziest ROI. We can turn $1 into a $5 bill infinitely, literally infinitely. So if you think you need a credit card, or you're going to start this business with credit, I strongly advise against it. And I know I come off like Dave Ramsey sounding about, having no debt, but if you can't cash flow a reselling business, you're not going to make it, because the money we can make from reselling is astronomical. And sure, you got to slow down, but you turn your $1 into 5, 5 into 10, 10 into 20, compounding your cash starting out is the best piece of advice. I would not take loans from any family, any type of credit card. Spend what you can and say, all right, well, I'm going to start this reselling business. I'm going to give myself $500. And that's my limit. And then as you sell, you get more money into the account, you reinvest it. So you're only into it for that initial $500. don't keep pumping money into something where you're not getting anything back out. I mean, it's just, I know as silly as it sounds, but there's a lot of people that are like, well, I sold one thing, so now I'm going to go spend $300 on my credit card and think I can turn this into $1,000, and then I won't pay any fees because I'll pay it off by the end of the month. And then your stuff doesn't sell by the end of the month, and then you get hit with the fees. Just be smart about this. There's a lot of money to be made as long as you understand business and are willing to take it slow.
Well, yeah, and then, so this goes back to a video what we're talking about now, and a video I just made. I don't know if it was my last one or one before that, but I talk about this a lot here and there. So for instance, if I'm contemplating, I've been saying this, man. I recommend people not go full time unless you really have to. Our situation, I feel like some people are just entrepreneurs at spirit, so you really can't do nothing about that, right? If somebody want to go on their own, they're gonna go on their own. That's just that. I ain't got really nothing to say to those people. Do your thing, man. Prepare yourself, but I can't hold nobody back. But there's things I would do differently, but I wouldn't. The one thing I would still do is leave that damn job. But planning it out. So like if you take your time and you still work your job, or if you don't like that job, maybe you get another one and you run your business, right? Okay, your reselling business. So now through the course of a year or two, you're keeping track of all the money on your personal life, that you just in and out, money in and out, personal life, money in and out on your business. So now you got a full picture of what it's going to take over the course of at least a year or two, barring any exigent like circumstances, right? Of what it's going to take for you to be full time. I think people look at what they make on a platform and think like, oh, I'm making this much, I'll be good. But no, what if did you spend 30,000 in your personal life and that your business take 50,000? Well, bro, that's like $80,000. You know, you need $80,000 just to start in revenue, right? And that 30,000 got to be profit because you're paying yourself. So you need at least 30,000 in profit to be able to live. And then the rest is to run your business. So I don't think people think about that. So if my business, if I did 100,000 and then in my life I spent 50, that's $150,000. If you're not doing anywhere near that, that shouldn't even be a thought as far as like going, full time. And so I think that what you were saying is important, man. People don't, but you don't hear that type of talk. People don't break it down like that. That's the problem.
Not popular, dude. It's not popular on YouTube to talk about, the fact that you don't have health insurance as a reseller, you don't have a 401k match as a reseller. You don't realize some of the things you have when you work like a job like we had, right? Like CVS would match my 401k 5%.
Right.
I mean, unless Ed wants to start matching my 401k 5%, like I just get my 5% now. So, and health insurance ain't cheap. Self-employed, good luck, Chuck. It's going to cost you an arm and a leg versus that premium you maybe had at your job. Maybe you had family under your healthcare plan at your work, your kids, maybe your significant other. These are all costs you don't think about. You just see that bottom line and you're like, oh yeah, this is doable. And then you jump into it and all of a sudden, you're going to sink real quick. And the business can be, really profitable. And we don't think it all the way through. And it's a shame. A lot of people get themselves into trouble when they decide to, quit their job and start reselling. But thankfully in today's world, it's pretty easy to go back and get another job. If me and you want to go back to the restaurant, I want to go back to, a drugstore, we probably could get a job within 3 months. So there is that benefit, but don't bank on that 100%. There's opportunity in reselling. Just tread lightly and, everybody's an open book, dude. Everybody's got social media. You could go ask the biggest, your most admirable YouTuber reseller any question and you will get an answer. But for some reason, a lot of people just think, they can go on their own and figure it out on their own. If I don't know something about wholesale and I got Ed in my corner, why am I not just messaging Ed like, yo, what's going on here? What can I do to kind of get to the level you're at? Instead, I go buy a pallet and then I hit Ed up like, Ed, I bought a pallet for $5K. It's like worth nothing. It's like, well, Ed's like, it's too late now. I can't save it.
Yeah. You better fire sell that, man, and try to get as much as you can and start. Hey, so listen, where do you see yourself then? If I was to ask you, let's say a 5 to 10 year from now, right? 5 to 10 year plan. Let's go 2 to 5. Let's go 2 to 5. 10 years is a long time. Let's go 2 to 5 years. Do you see yourself only doing reselling? And also with this question, when you answer, do you have plans or is this reselling like a stepping stone into something else? Have you ever had plans to do something else? Or 2 to 5 years, do you see yourself, you still doing this, you still reselling, you still on YouTube? Or is there something else in store?
I will continue to resell as long as it's as easy as it is for me. Like if I had to go to thrift stores for 40 hours a week to make the money I make today, there ain't no shot. I'd be better off just getting a job that's going to pay me six figures with full benefits and a full retirement plan. I think a lot of it is self-reflection of where you're at and where you want to be, right? So we're in the market to buy a house. We're going to wait till the right one pops up. We're not just buying a house just to buy a house. So
Hmm.
got a down payment saved up and everything. So I'm just going to continue to save, get a house, pay it off early. I don't want to be lifting books when I'm 70 years old, right? It's I know a lot of people are like, well, I still do this and I'm 70. Ain't nothing against you, but I want to be retired somewhere. Like I'll put in the work today so I can have the comfortable life later on. And sure, I mean, I'll probably still go to flea markets, garage sales, and still, hustle on the side because, like you said, some of us are just entrepreneurs and it's hard to get away from it. But as like a sole reliant income, like I don't want to be doing this for the next 40 years to a point where if I decide I don't feel like doing it for the next 3 months, like I'm going to be living on the streets. So for me, I see it
Yeah,
as an opportunity today to get ahead for my life later on. So, I mean, it's hard work, but you sacrifice today, you put in the time today, and I only do it 20 hours a week. So, like everybody here, probably everybody listen to this, even if you're part time, you probably put in more hours than me, right? I'm not sitting here saying I'm out here in thrift stores all day, I'm at the bins all day, but I just refine the business in a way so that I can make the amount I do in a little bit of time that I actually spend in the business. So, I mean, it's tough. I'm still going to be reselling for sure, 2 to 5 years, because that's not my immediate plan. I don't plan on retiring by the time I'm 40. So I'll probably be doing this till I get till my house is paid off, however many years that takes,
right, right.
till I got enough in retirement that I know I can live comfortably. And then I'll probably just scale it back and maybe I'll just thrift one day a week. Or, maybe I'll just buy stuff in bulk so I don't have to go to thrift stores and it could just get delivered to my garage. So I'm
Hmm.
not out in thrift stores all the time. It'll change, but I'll still be making money reselling. And it's not going to be in any type of degree where I'm working 60 hours a week in reselling. I think, if it loses its fun, it's kind of, why am I doing this if I'm miserable doing it? And thrift stores suck. Like people make it seem like, oh, let's go to the thrift stores, right? Like it's a fun time. Like I dread the 2 days I have to thrift because it's full of crazy people that have no common courtesy to anybody or anything around them. The prices are through the roof. You
Yeah.
can get you
There's
can get stuff.
always that funny thrift store smell.
Oh my God, it's the thrift in life is like it's so overshadowed. People make it seem like it's great, and I don't know how some of these people they'll just go to the bins all day and sit there. I'm like, you got to be nuts. Like I got a Goodwill bins 10 minutes from me. I've been in there once, and I walked in and I said, I'm out of here, and I turned around and I left, and it's 10 minutes within me. Like people would kill to have that, and I'm like, I'm
Yeah,
never
they
going
would.
back.
Yeah,
Like
they would.
I want to enjoy myself and like I want to make a decent amount of money and I want to have a good time. And then once I lose the sense of that, it's like, what's the point of doing this? There's really no benefits. We just talked about. You don't get health care, you don't get retirement match. Like there's better opportunities out there. And I think that's another thing. As a reseller, you have to look yourself in the mirror, right? If Ed's doing this for a year, 2 years, he ain't making no damn money. And his wife's like, yo, dude, what are you doing? Like, you're not making no money, right? Like you gotta sometimes realize, no, my business ain't perfect, Ed's ain't perfect. There's always processes we can refine. But
For sure.
self-reflection and understanding, all right, well, if this ain't working, just stop doing it. And sometimes, unfortunately, in reselling isn't for everybody because a lot of people do get caught up with the more flashier YouTubers that, find the $300 items. Every single thrift trip, they magically find $500 items. That's not the reality of it.
Yeah, no, man. And I think at some point in your journey, you're going to have that like face to face moment with yourself where there's going to be a challenge. There's going to be something that goes wrong. You're going to doubt everything and question everything. And I feel like that's the fork in the road, where either you're going to figure it out. And I'm not saying be unrealistic. Like you just said, look, bro, if it ain't working, you need to do what you got to do. But you're going to have that face to face moment with yourself, man, in your business. And I think that's when you really realize like all the fluff, none of that means, and there's no substance. I think that's why I like what you do and the fact that you so focused on it because that's the foundation. Like it's no matter what happens short term for you because you got a strong foundation in your area, in your niche. You're going to be good. Even if your niche evolves into different types of media, media will always be a thing. The types of media might just change. But since you're already there, you got your ear to the ground, you got all these other sellers, like you got a community. So like you'll be good right where you at. And you don't have to worry about the changes and like the different vicissitudes of like reselling because you're stable. You know what I mean? But I don't think that everybody gets that, especially in the beginning. That's why it's important to kind of start off, with that type of mindset because you're going ahead. Listen, I've had my days, bro, where I'll be like, God damn, man, but I sit back, I think about it, I make some changes. I think that's the main thing. Being willing to make whatever change is necessary for the survivability of your business. Like, it ain't got nothing to do with looking good, sounding good. Whatever change is necessary for my business to survive, that's what I'm gonna do, and not be stubborn about it. You know what I mean? Which I want to add to real quick what you said about that 20-hour thing, because I feel like there's a point there. You can watch some of the YouTube videos and they talk about, speed and the processes. And I get that part. And you shouldn't be working this many hours or shouldn't. I told myself when I left my job, I said, at a minimum, I'm going to do the same 50 hours I was doing for them, for corporate, I'm going to do for myself at a minimum with no complaints. I ain't complaining about it. I don't care. At a minimum, I'm doing the same 50 hours. If I do less, cool. If I do more, cool. But I'm not going to, moan and complain about doing the same time I was giving to corporate. But you down to 20, which is cool. I think people get caught up in this time thing like, oh, I'm spending 50 hours a week, or I'm doing 60. That's just too much. Or like you with the 20 hours. Well, he's only working 20 hours. How is he? Listen, everybody's business is, I don't think how much time you spend is the point. No. It's going to take however much time it takes. But as a seller, if you want to succeed, you just have to be of the mindset, I'm going to put in as much time as it takes to get the job done. And in the process, I'm going to do the things that are going to help me with efficiency and to get rid of waste and not have to do the things I don't have to do. But at the end of the day, if it takes me 40, 50 hours, that's fine. And if it takes Mike 20 hours, that's fine, because Mike got his business running the way he wants for his life. Johnny's a hard worker. He put in a lot of time, but he has a large business too, though. But he don't cry about that. He's like one of those, I'm going to do whatever it takes because I got a goal in mind. What you think about that?
It's a double-edged sword, right? Because how many people waste time on eBay, right? How many people waste time listing items they shouldn't list? So somebody like yourself, if I say, all right, Ed, you're going to work 60 hours this week. Well, somebody that's brand new or somebody that's been doing this half-assed for a while, they put in 60 hours a week and they're not doing it the right way. They feel like, well, I spent 60 hours this week, Ed, where's my paycheck? You're not entitled to anything based on the time you put in the business. So don't feel like, well, I'm working on eBay 60 hours a week, I expect to make X amount of dollars. Well, if you're not doing it right, or you're not listing as many items as Ed can list, or the quality of items Ed has, you're never going to get ahead. And it works the opposite way too. If I needed to make, or maybe I was only making $5,000 in sales a month doing 20 hours, well, yeah, that's not going to cut it. I got to be out there 40 hours to hit my 10K in sales every single month. It's just a matter of, few years ago, not even years ago, 8 months ago, I was out there 40, 50 hours a week. Things changed. I refined my process. I refined my sourcing routes. I refined that, and I got time back. But like you said, if you're going to put in the time, put it in the right way. Don't be, fiddle-faddling around, watching all these YouTube videos, doing all this nonsense. Focus when you're in your business, focus on what you're doing for the day. And I don't know about you, but like every Saturday I pack my Amazon stuff, right? In an eBay business, you got to list stuff, you got to clean stuff, you got to test items, you got to have a process for all these things. You can't just go attack every day like, well, I'm just going to do whatever's in this huge pile of crap I have sitting in front of me.
Now I batch my task, man, so everything is done in batches. If it's sorting, then all I'm doing is sorting. I keep a timer on my computer. And I'll set the timer for an hour or two, however long I'm gonna work, and I don't stop until I'm done and the timer goes off. Then I'll take a 5 or 10 minute break. Then I switch to the next task. That's the one thing I learned. You batch tasks, You set it because I'll get distracted. I'll start thinking of something and I'll stop what I'm doing to go do that. And next thing you know, I'm all off track. And that's helped me. I'm not saying everybody's like that, but batching tasks helps you stay organized. You can just write down that list at the beginning of the day. This is what I want to do. And then I'll set a timer for how much time I kind of want to put in there, give or take, right? I ain't going to be super stringent, but it's just the overall outline. And when that timer go off, I take my little 5-10 minute break just so like I can stay fresh and not, I feel like it just helps. There's I forget what book it was where it was like take a 5 or 10 minute break every hour or two, and it kind of helps you keep up that productivity. And I found that does work for me. But my thought is never I only like I can't compare myself to your business. I'm not going to go back and think, well, damn, Johnny's only doing or Mike is only doing 20 hours. Why ain't I only? No, I'm doing whatever it takes for my business to be where I want it to be. And that's why I like that you're comfortable where you at with your business. And I think that's what each seller has to be comfortable with. Like be okay with where you are and what it's going to take to run your business, and don't compare yourself or even listen to somebody who's saying it's taking you too long. If you're getting stuff done and it's efficient and it's taking you 50 hours a week, but you're making the money you need to make, then it's going to take you 50 hours a week, bro. And if you don't want it to, then you might need to do something else. You know what I mean?
I'm going to put you on the hot seat here. 40 hours a week. Should your sales as a reseller equate to 100K or more if you put in 40 hours every single week, regardless of the platform you sell on?
Should your gross sales?
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, for sure.
I agree. I mean, yeah. If I can do it 20 hours a week, then what's stopping somebody from doing this 40 hours a week and pushing $20,000 months? I don't know.
Yeah, I did that more than that when I was working, and I don't think I was doing. Yeah, I was working 50 hours a week, so I probably was doing what you do, about 20 hours on the side. But yeah, if you can't do 100 grand doing full time, then you something's wrong. You probably should just talk to somebody. And
okay, well that will get you even in the hotter seat. How many resellers today do you think are putting in 40 hours or more and not making over 100K? Give me a percentage between 0 and 100.
Putting in 40 or more and not making 100K gross. How many? Okay, I'm gonna say at least 90 to 95%. Here's why I say that. The 1% is the ones at the top, right? You got 1% that's doing the top line, like millions of dollars, right? 7 figures. Then you got maybe 5% that's doing a few 100,000. Get to 100, that's probably about 10%, maybe ish. So yeah, I'm gonna say the majority, like 90% is doing 40 plus hours and not making that much.
That's crazy, man. Think about that.
At least 80%, right? Because you got the 80-20 rule. So at least 80% is doing that.
That's a lot of people spending a lot of time not making a lot of money.
That is. Ain't that a shame though? And they don't have to,
When you start thinking about it, man, it's kind of crazy the potential we have and the potential we almost waste by not being more efficient and understanding like how an actual business works.
But and two, I think it's because they chase stuff, right? They're chasing the bolos, and they're, one day they're in this category, and the next day, and I'm not saying everybody, because there's some everything sellers, but I heard somebody say this too. Even everything sellers don't sell everything, Yeah. Not saying that when you come across something that's profitable, you might not pick it up, but for the most part, people have their specialties, right? Where their knowledge is based around. You can't know everything. The more you try to know, you start to spread yourself thin. You know what I mean? And so it becomes more of a negative than a positive. And so even people who got quote unquote everything, they're not selling tractors, they ain't selling bulldozers and shit. Like there's still like a specialty within that, where things that they gravitate to more than others, I think, and things that they look for more than others. I think Lonnie is a good example, right? Shad Flips. I guess you would say he's an everything seller, but he really don't sell everything though.
Yeah.
He really don't. But people say like he's an everything seller. What's the other one? Osborne to Thrift. Yeah. He seemed like he do pretty well, but again, he has like you can probably. I think I watched a video one time. I probably counted 3 categories, but they was kind of similar for the most part. It wasn't like he was all over the place. So
Yeah.
there's still a focus within that for in order to get to those numbers. Here's one thing I know: you're not going to do over $100,000 consistently if you're not focused. I can tell you that for sure. If you
Yeah.
ain't focused and you got some sort of system, if that's not, you're not doing it, man. You're going to get in so much trouble on them platforms from defects. You'll be suspended before you ever do it. I can guarantee you that for sure.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
so I think a lot of people lack that.
just know too, one thing with, when we talk about 100K in sales, like that's not how much you're bringing home, right? Like that's another thing resellers leave out on YouTube, and it drives me nuts. I sold this for $300. Well, if they paid $290 for it after fees, they lost money. Right? There's no real transparency in reselling when it comes to people's actual bottom line of what they make. I don't even care about sales anymore. Like if somebody tells me I sold $3 trillion, cool story. How much did you make? Like that's all that matters to me. Like what do you actually make? And sales are equivalent to nothing. And anybody can get sales. Me and Ed can go spend X amount of dollars and get the same amount in sales if we wanted to, right? So me and Ed all of a sudden like, hey, we're going to launch this course, but for the next year, we're going to run up our numbers on eBay and Amazon to over $1 million. All you got to do is spend
Right.
$1 million, and you have $1 million in sales. Like what are you actually bringing home into the business? And that kind of gets overshadowed, and it drives me nuts.
Funny story. Here's what I'm gonna tell y'all a secret, y'all. Everybody out there in YouTube land. What they don't realize is that that type of content is the business model. And people look at running those sales up as an expense because the money, they're not looking to make the money on the content. It's just an expense. Even if they lost money, all they need is that gross revenue number. So they'll run it up because they're going to make the money on all the courses and the upsells. So that's just an expense. That's like just like me buying inventory to sell on eBay or whatever. That's how they look at that. Like people don't think that, like, bro, they're not doing that, man. That's an expense to them because they want you to buy their course or they want you to upsell that to now and they're going to set you up this Amazon store that's going to, no, you're going to get suspended and everybody connected to your account going to get suspended. That's probably what's going to happen, man. But
The
no,
good old, I'm a 6-figure, I'm a 7-figure seller. It means nothing to me. I could care less. Like, cool
no,
story.
seriously, seriously. All right, so before we wrap it up, now let's go a little bit into this group thing. I'm gonna know what made you want to start a group, firstly, and then just go into what made you want to start it, how it's been, how hard was it first to even get your first few members, but what goes on in your group? What have you learned, man? What's some of your biggest takeaways from having a group? Just like share that experience with us.
So I started the group because I wanted to save one other CVS employee if I could, right? If I could help anybody in a situation like me or Ed, like where you hate your job, like where you're trying to pay off some debt, or like, I don't know, maybe you want to save for retirement. That's the only reason I started the group. And, $2.99, I'm not getting rich off the group by any means. If I wanted to make money, it wouldn't be $2.99. And,
Facts.
and that's kind of where it kind of, you can kind of see with people, right? Because I've been in other groups as well, some paid, some not paid. The reason is I want everybody to make money. I know everybody can make money in the group. I've seen all walks of life, old, young, male, female, regardless of what it is, obligations out the wazoo. You can make money reselling as long as you have the building blocks to kind of get there. So I kind of learned the hard way, and there's nothing wrong with learning the easier way now. Take advantage of people. I talked about it earlier. The people that have been doing it. I wish, if I was going to do wholesale, I wish somebody like Ed was around when I started, because you have this whole years and years of experience you kind of can lean on. So I started the group thinking, all right, well, I might make a few bucks, but let's see, if people can actually learn from it. There's no point doing the group if we all just sit around and cry all day, right? Like, are we actually gaining knowledge? Are we
Right.
helping each other out? So it's been, a few years now. I got over 200 people over there. We do weekly live calls. It's tough, but with the group, I've seen everything. I've seen everything come and go from other people trying crazy stuff that I would never try. Like somebody starts reselling and they bought the pallet before they even opened their account, right? Like you see this type of stuff come. So you gain knowledge and you see other people's perspectives. You see what works for Ed. Maybe try it for myself. If it don't work, all right, whatever. But you can kind of grow your own business and it'll hold you accountable. If I have a group of people and I ain't selling nothing, like who's going to be in a group with the guy leading it who ain't making no money, or like that's kind of, you hold yourself accountable to the group, and I think a lot of people don't think that. But like, if I'm the leader of the group, the leader, quote unquote, I have plenty of people that answer questions all day long for me. I have to have results to back that up. So it's a piece of accountability for me, and it's also for people that join the group, because at the end of the day, you join a group and you see people crushing it, you're more motivated to get out there and crush it so you can post your numbers. Or if you run into a headache, somebody else in a group of 200 people probably has ran into that same exact headache, and you can get an answer from. So it's tough, man, because I'll tell you right now, when I first was thinking about the group, I'm like, do I really want to charge people? Like, $2.99 ain't nothing. You can write it off anyway, right? Like, I'm in your group, it's $2.99. Like, I got the bill, I just put it in the QuickBooks, $2.99. It's written off, less I'm giving the government. But it's like, do I want to start a group? Because there are so many scammers out there in the reselling world when it comes to like courses and everything. It's a balancing act. I don't get rich off it, but I enjoy helping other people make money, and I do think there's enough to go around forever. I think every person that watches this video could sell the same type of stuff Ed does, probably all from the same supplier, and we all would do a-okay. I have the mindset of, there's plenty out there for everybody to make money. So I don't feel like I'm losing anything by having a group. It's not like I'm finding less things now because everybody's selling media. It's plentiful. You just got to know where to look. And if you have somebody in your corner that's kind of been through it all, then you're only going to grow quicker and grow smarter and not make the same mistakes I made or you made when we first started.
Yeah, for sure, man. What do you think? Do you think you would be where you're at right now at this point if it wasn't for the group? Or do you think, not saying that you would never get there, or do you think the group has actually accelerated your reselling career?
Man, that's tough. It's like, if I never had the group, I probably would have got sucked into one of these negative YouTube, eBay worlds, and for all we know, I probably wouldn't exist today, because that's the reality of it, right? Like, that's what you get recommended on YouTube, because they get a lot of clicks, they get a lot of views. The sky's always falling somewhere. It's hard to say, but I mean, the relationships I've built just from the group, like that alone, you can never put a price on those types of relationships. Like, if I ever wanted to get into wholesale, all I got to do is message you, call you, we could sit down, you would show me everything for nothing. Like, those types of relationships, that's what you have in these types of groups. So no matter what you're selling or what you want to sell, it kind of automatically levels up. And reselling's a lonely job. Most of us do this by ourselves. Every video I see, you're in that, your little warehouse there going nuts by yourself, right? Like, you look in the mirror, it's just you, nobody else around you. So like, having people around you and like having somebody else to bounce an idea off of, or like vent to, that has an idea what reselling is, like,
right.
I bought 100 of these and they tanked. Well, you've all been there
right.
before. It's easy. You don't feel like you're going to lose it. You're not going to lose the house over these items because everybody's been there before. So that's a big benefit. I mean, I'd probably still be around. I don't know in what capacity, because it's hard to say, but I wouldn't trade none of the relationships with anybody, even just from YouTube in general, that, the connections you can make, and you see other business ideas, other things that work, and you never feel like you're kind of in this alone.
No, I've been a member of your channel for a while, but I've sat in on a few videos. I don't really get on there every week, but I do know I know you got a guy, and I can't remember his name, what's his name, man? The one that y'all can send pictures to and send books to, and he'll sell them for y'all, man. Like he's like the book whisperer. What's his name? Tell me about him.
Max.
I think so. Yeah.
He does eBay books on consignment. So you send him photos and you'll get a thumbs up or a thumbs down. If he wants it or not, you ship him a box, he'll sell it for you. So like, that's a relationship.
That's invaluable, man. That's invaluable, But you wouldn't know that unless you networked. You know what I'm saying?
I ain't got $2.99, Ed. I'm broke.
Listen, the value. Here's what I be telling people. If it's, I don't think it's right to tell a person who has the experience, who paid in money, financially, and blood, sweat, and tears, that, oh, your knowledge ain't worth nothing. You should be giving it to me for free. Like, you just pissing on them, bro. Like, you don't even know what I had to go through to get where I'm at, and I'm supposed to give it to you, right? That, first of all, that's just disrespectful. But then when a person wants to say, like, you know what? Listen, it's a lot of work. Just give me $2.99. But the value you getting from that $2.99 is exponential. That's what really ticks me off, man. When I hear people say that, if you're really getting value, if you're in a group of people who have knowledge that you're not going to get other than going through it yourself and probably losing your shirt, right? Because a lot of people, a lot of us have come close to that at one point or another, but we figured it out. You're paying for that. So you ain't got to worry about trying to figure it out. I just don't see why people find it so difficult, man, to be like, okay, hell yeah, I'll give you $2.99. Why wouldn't I? You know?
I never plan on wholesaling or buying pallets, Ed, and I'm a member of your channel. I could care less about that. Like, I'm more interested in the business practices, what's going on out there in that type of market. What's that business even look like? I'll never wholesale. Probably I'll never buy a pallet of beauty supplies like you do. But it's not even just about that, right? It's like what is he doing different that maybe I can incorporate? What do his processes look like? There's so much that goes into it. It's just I think a lot of people got burned in the reselling community when it comes to groups and
Yeah,
courses that like
yeah,
it's like you got to tread real lightly. I don't really care no more, right? Like if you don't want to, put in, the time and a little bit of money that it's going to take, so be it. You still can be just as successful, even more successful than somebody that joins a group. I'm not saying you're saying that. It's just, it's just what works for you. Do you want to be around like-minded people in a group that's, sells similar products? There's so much out there anymore, and invest in yourself, and it's a write-off. That's what I said. I wrote your $2.99 off. It might not be much, but it adds up.
yeah. I look at stuff like that as any other investment, man. And, if somebody knows something that I want to know, and I don't want to have to put the time in to have to go through that myself, um, why wouldn't I pay them? As long as it's a reasonable price, you they're gonna right. I'm gonna pay them. I think it's only right. It's like any other product. Got a nice pair of shoes I like, comfortable on my feet. They're $100. I'm gonna pay them because my feet's gonna thank me later. You know what I'm saying? And you being on your feet all day, you know how important it is to have a
Yeah,
comfortable pair of shoes.
it's crazy, man. We live in crazy times, but I still think there's a lot of value out there in channels like yours where you just keep it real. You show the actual work that goes in, and the real practices, not you're not crazy bolos, all this nonsense. It's tough to navigate your way as a brand new reseller to try to find channels like yours because it's not going to get recommended to you in the algorithm.
Right.
It's hard to find channels that are don't have the flashy content and all the subscribers. It's tough as a new reseller, but I still think there's plenty of opportunity to start today and have a six-figure reselling business by the end of next year.
And so just to end off on where do you think as far as like platform wise, where do you think is going to be where do you think is going to be the most opportunity? I know I asked you about where you think you'll be at in the next 2 to 5 years, but platform wise, where you think the most opportunity will be? Give me like your top three opportunities, but not necessarily just because it's the platform, but what's your like top three reselling opportunities with all the innovations going on and the AI and the live selling? What do you think are three big opportunities for resellers to pay attention to going forward over these next 2 to 5 years?
I mean, it's got for me, it's always going to be Amazon. Everybody shops on Amazon. Uh, Everybody has a Prime membership. That's going to be the biggest one for me. Yeah, the margins might go down due to rising fees, but at what expense? How much more can you process on a platform like Amazon versus eBay? Or and on the topic, I still think there's a lot of opportunity on eBay. I think they're still trying to find themselves, like who they want to be. A lot of self-identification when it comes to that. But I do think people give eBay a bad name, and honestly,
Hmm.
I only list items that are desirable on eBay, and every time I do, it sells. So like I don't, I find it hard as somebody that half-asses eBay as much as I do to even knock the platform, because if it's a desirable item at a good price, it'll sell on eBay all day long. So I do think there's a lot of
Yeah.
opportunity on eBay as well. The question is, what's the third one, right? You got Walmart. People gas up Walmart over the past few months, like it's gonna crush Amazon, and I'm like, nothing's probably ever gonna
Yeah,
crush
I don't know about that, but it's good enough.
and then you got Whatnot, right? So Walmart Whatnot is probably my third. Live selling, you're going to get less for your items, so you have to drive down your buy cost, and you have to have a following, right? If I decide to start a Whatnot today, I got 0 followers. Like I'm not probably going to sell anything for X amount of months. So it's a toss up between Walmart and Whatnot. I think both are going to continue to grow. It's just a matter of who. Some people like sitting in front of the camera and talking about items to sell. Walmart,
Yeah, they do.
they're only going to grow their fulfillment because they see the opportunity. They want to do what Amazon did. eBay, you got collectible, desirable items, you're always going to be able to sell it on eBay. Find out who you want to be and run with it. What's your priorities? What do you enjoy selling, and what's around you? What can you get? Like, I can't sell video games because there's no video games for sale around me. Anywhere I go, there's no video games. I look at it everywhere. They don't exist. So find out what's in your area, what you want from your reselling business. And I think you can crush on any platforms. But yeah, I got Amazon, eBay, and then Walmart. Whatnot is a toss-up in third. I know some people hate Whatnot, but regardless if you hate it or not, that a lot of people hate Amazon, how greedy they are. But guess what? There's still millions and millions of people shopping on there every single day.
Yeah. I think I'm with you. I've heard people say things like Whatnot might grow to be as big or bigger than eBay. I really just don't see that happening unless they can also build that buy it now aspect on the platform. Then they may have a chance, but eBay got such a foothold. I don't think people realize how hard it is to kind of like eBay ain't going nowhere no time soon, man. And the way I look at the changes on eBay with that business model, your profit can stay the same despite the fees. You just got to change the type of items you sell. Like if you was making $10 profit selling this widget, and now fees took that down to $7 profit. Well, now you got to source different widgets. I don't think the fees is almost secondary. Like it's almost inconsequential. You just got to change the type of stuff that you sell, or be happy with the $7 profit. I mean, it's either one or the other. But I think the focus on fees on any platform, even Amazon, yeah, it's a challenge, but it just forces you to reevaluate your business. And if you do it right, you can be in a better position probably than you even was initially, because it forces you to go out, find new sources, make new connections. I think people just don't look at that positive aspect. Like, now I'm gonna get out here, I'm gonna meet new people, I'm gonna meet new connections. I might even come across a deal I would have never came across had I not had to go out and look for this type of inventory. You know what I mean? I found so much stuff, man, and deals just because I've had to continually evolve my business and raise my average sell price. And next thing you know, I come across this, or the one guy I was telling you about before the show. Like, that's just because, things happen. I reach out to people, and it don't happen every day, but once or twice a year, you'll find a good connection that's going to propel your business forward, but you got to stick to it.
I agree with everything you said.
All right, man. So we're going to end the show, Mike. Again, I appreciate you coming on, man. For anyone who doesn't know, this is Mike, the Used Book Guy. Make sure you check out his channel. Really good videos, really funny videos, a lot of good information. And check out his group, man. It's $2.99, less than a Starbucks coffee. But there's a lot of knowledgeable people in there. I've actually sat in on some of those sessions, and there's a lot of people that know what they're talking about. So if you want to sell media, and especially if you want to sell it on Amazon, this guy, man, he knows what he's talking about. Trust me when I tell you that. But check out his channel. Link will be in the description. Mike, thanks for coming on, and I'll see you again soon, brother.
Appreciate you, Ed.